Ready, so guys, no sub-in. Period will be playing for game number 3, and let's hop into pick and ban right now.
SK Telecom T1 back on the blue side. So far, series gone blue side dominated, and well, they're on blue, which means they have a bit more freedom in the bans. Fly is smiling on screen. He drew a Zoe ban. They will still ban the Orianna, that for most teams is not a flex pick, but Hanwha Life did flex to the bot lane earlier in the LCK, so no Orianna this game from SKT. Feels like a Galio game from one team or the other, and look at this, another Comfort is banned. Juve's Gnar taken away. Gen G are now down to their second round of champions in most roles, and famously Gen G, they always have about 4 champions everyone plays, but after that, they fall away.
Yeah, in game number 1, if you guys don't remember, the Alistar and the Ezreal were banned instead of Zoe and Gnar, so those 2 picks are available. They could easily go ahead and pick up Tahm Kench's Ezreal, but they did give away the Taliyah to Blank. So we've seen what Taliyah can do, especially if you get ahead and you control vision. Her just burst from 100 to 0, even early on in the game, is not something to be trifled with, but at least Gen G will pick up their favorite duo.
When it came to champions in the NALCS, Pyrian's Taliyah was also not one to be trifled with, so he knows the champion very well. So outside chance, he'll be playing it in the mid. Recently, the jungle, of course, has been the port of call for the Taliyah, and Pyrian's play around the Blank Taliyah last time we saw it was very impressive. Invading with the Taliyah, allowing Taliyah to take over the game. That was the first game that Blank played with Pyrian. Speaking of Pyrian, pick on the blue side here. So far it's actually Alistar, very high ticket for effort. Usually he's on support at the Pike, so a bit surprised to see the Alistar, but Gen G get the Gen G duo, the Golden Boys, together for once. Ezreal and Tahm Kench on red side. Alistar Ashe, the answer from SKT.
Yeah, Ashe becoming a very high-tier pick in recent times and picked all 3 times in every game here in this series. And Haru is once again not going to be subbed out, so we will have his Camille again here in game 3.
Whatever happens in the second round of the draft, we already know this is going to be about Taliyah versus Camille. If that is the jungle matchup, it's a chance that Juve plays the pick, as he is a long-time Camille top. If we see a jungle matchup of Taliyah versus Camille, it's really going to be about who face checks who has the most assistance from their mid lane, top lane, or bot lane on the invade. Both these champions, if invading, are oppressive in their trades. So potentially we're going to get a really fiery jungle matchup. Wait and see if that is the way. See the Darius ban, which does mean the chances of Camille top do go up a little bit.
You mentioned the Galio. It falls through in the first round, and it's fantastic with the Camille, so that is the easiest ban of all time, away from Fly, who is 7-0 on Galio. So take it away. I mean, my bronze friend could have predicted that one.
When it comes to Fly, the 2 picks I'm thinking of are Aurelion Sol and Lulu. Those are 2 picks that he plays a lot of. The Lulu and Camille will be a very strong invading duo from mid and jungle. The Aurelion Sol is available on patch 8.13 after a lot of the bugs were ironed out. We know they'll be back. It's Aurelion Sol, but for now at least, Aurelion Sol is playable. Mundo Bang gonna come out here. See if Gen G are last picking for mid or top lane, as we're not sure where the Camille's going.
Kind of feel like SKT does have the front foot on that one. You know, you mentioned the flexibility of the Taliyah. If you really wanted to, you could bring it into the mid lane, and you get a chance to see what Gen G is going to draft for one of these lanes. Where will the safe pick be?
Okay.
It's going to be Camille in the top lane with Xin Zhao jumping into the jungle.
My Aurelion Sol senses are definitely tingling here. I think it's very likely, because Aurelion Sol, Xin Zhao, if that roams to your lane, you're kind of done. You're like, crap, what do I do against this?
You die.
You do. Very, very regularly you die. So, ultra aggression. It seems like Gen G are setting up for winning mid lane and jungle duo. Whatever is drafted. Speaking of whatever's drafted, we will have the blind pick, well, I say not blind pick anymore, the Jace into Camille matchup on the top side.
Yeah, it was banned twice in Phase 2 by Gen G. They respect Tal's Jace. He's 2-0 on the pick. And I think that he's shown enough. It's going to be pretty good into the Camille as well. Definitely a skill matchup up there. Thinking about the Swain. Now, I feel like the Swain has fallen down a little bit, but thinking about it for the mid lane here.
It is double flex pick. Technically, you could put Jason to the mid lane too and put Swain top lane, depending on how rough the matchup is. The Aurelion Sol is so obvious for Fly in this spot.
There it is.
He's doing it.
Well, Papa, you called it very early. The Korean casters were taken aback, but I was prepared thanks to you. We will have Fly coming back onto his Aurelion Sol. He's 1-1 on the pick. Definitely a flashy way to end this series up against SKT.
If you're going Xin Zhao, a jungle that's so aggressive that people don't risk it because if you start falling away in skirmishes early, you have no role, you're going to have some backup from the mid lane, and Ignite Aurelion Sol is the ultimate backup. Many teams in Korea still ban Aurelion Sol second round against Fly every game. You forget it because he's been playing first round picks like Zoe and Orianna recently, but he's back on the Aurelion Sol, and if Blank missteps, he is going to find a whole lot of damage in his face real fast.
Yeah. It's going to be a fun one, this one. I'd have to say that Gen G definitely on the front foot here. They want to try to smash SKT, get as aggressive as possible, and own those lanes, and make that Aurelion Sol work for them. Cuvée, now he only has one game on the Camille. It is a win this season, but he is a seasoned veteran on that Camille, don't get me wrong.
I'm just so scared of this Gen G steamroller, Camille, Xin Zhao, and Aurelion Sol. They're coming in your direction. You are running as fast as possible in the opposite one. Will end up being the Jace, but Jace versus Camille, if you lose jungle control, you actually end up losing trades pretty frequently, and we already mentioned that Gen G said, whatever happens, we're winning the jungle control war. It's going to take a big outplay by Taliyah and SKT to stop Haru and Fly taking over this game.
Once again, Haru will have that leash to get aggressive in the jungle. We'll see if he can win that early matchup again, jumping into game number 3 of Gen G versus SKT.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
Yeah, the fans came down for this one, guys. It's a Sunday afternoon, I guess evening at this point. And of course, it's break. There's nobody preparing their essays for tomorrow. We're just all here watching some games.
And the heat is on, Valdez, in multiple different ways. We have so many fans here, the air conditioner is not enough to handle how many fans there are. And also the heat is on both these teams. Gen G are on the trail for first. If they win this series, they will stay same match score as Griffin when it comes to first team, behind in game score, and of course hurt by not winning 2-0. SK Telecom T1 at 7 match wins, need 11 to guarantee, and 11 is the maximum they can get to if they win this series and every series coming forward. And we saw that schedule. They are facing only playoff teams. So SK Telecom T1, if they want to control their own destiny, they need to win every series they're in. So given all of that information, this early game could be so important in how the seasons go for Gen G and SK Telecom T1.
I mean, it's massively important, right? For both of these teams and their compositions. I feel like whoever gets the front foot and whoever gets ahead in the early to mid game is going to run away with this one. The aggressive draft of Gen G is not something to bat an eye at. And also the side of SKT, if they can get ahead, the Jace is going to be very dominant in the top side. The Taliyah can pop off. You know, there's a lot of squishy members on the side of Gen G that if they get the priority engage onto Blank on the Taliyah, it's fantastic. But if it comes the other way, it's not going to look good. Here we go, coming on in already. The Vision of Empire is going to help out, but the flash comes in.
Nice flash.
Gonna have to flash the wall. Pyrian is on the roam here, but first blood goes to the side of the Xin Zhao. And now Tal, they really want to get this Haru, but he's going to jump back in. He's going to be taken out. The hammer will push him back, but the blasting plant to get SKT away. Cuvée, though, on the chase. Trying to get on top of him here, only has the sweeper at level 1, is not going to do it. And more action coming in as Pyrian going to get a good trade here onto Fly.
Fly actually goes out of mana at level 2, trying to chase down the kill. They get a lot of damage, but the blast plant being there means they can't get the second kill. Cuvée level 1 with only tactical sweep. Can't clean up the kill either. So because that early face check, it ends up being surprisingly even in a match where Gen G really does control the early game moves.
It's a crazy engage here. The Taliyah sees it coming, but Blank kind of messes up his stones as Haru charges behind him and flashes in for the kill.
Gotta say, Blank has big stones because he holds onto his flash to open up space. He may die, but he buys time, and Tal at level 1 as a range champion will always be more powerful than Cuvée, who doesn't get any kill involvement and remains level 1.
Yeah, I mean, that's trust in your team, right? Knowing as the Talia, I'm going to die, but I know that I will have the backup. It's a really rough matchup for the Talia, especially early on. If the Xin Zhao finds you in the jungle, you're basically dead. Unless, you know, he messes up or you're able to somehow kite him. You get the perfect seismic shove to, you know, get away and you can flash away from him. But if the Xin Zhao finds you, it's not going to look good. We kind of saw the, you know, the beginnings of those kinds of trades already. They're looking for a gank up at the top side, but look at the roam already coming on in. Huge damage onto Cuvee. Blank coming up here, but the rest of Gen G is going to come in. There's the kill. TP is going to be committed to Tal. Trying to get the seismic shot, but it is going to miss. Nice play here by Fly with the fancy feet work. Now Haru coming on into Blank, trying to burst him down, but they kill him first. And now Fly is going to have to commit to the kill, but he can't get close enough. One auto is going to do it, just barely. And this early game, man, is already on fire.
So many people clenching at every moment, skills being avoided. The hammer hit to interrupt the hook shot is why Cuvee couldn't get out at the start. Still going to burn them down. That required a teleport the next time Fly roams. There shouldn't be the same level of ability for Pyrion to follow. His follow there was good. Going to watch the replay here. The big skill to take away is actually the interrupt. So its first roam comes through, Tal goes in. Watch the hammer hit. It interrupts the hook shot. Gets the right angle as well. So Cuvee ends up taking more damage, will eventually go down. The Aurelion Soul, the amount of juking in and out of the stars means that people live for a while, for the whole of the teleport duration. Haru chases in, he's in melee range, he's in Zhao. They'll eventually get this kill, but they don't trade up, but they're back again.
Here we go, Blank is in the bush, trying to get that burst damage down, but now they're going on to him, 2v1. Cuvee gonna take a ton of damage, but the knockup is there! The vision wasn't there for Tal, but the big knockaway trying to deny that last auto, but Haru is gonna charge in and pick up a second kill. The 2-for-1 going to Gen G.
There's been 9 kills in 5 minutes, because it's basically Mortal Kombat at the top. See your two enemies, it's a tag team battle apparently, let's fight. Wrestling match on the top side, it's pretty even on both sides. They don't get the Aurelion Soul this time. Fly has Swifties already.
And this is another fight in the mid lane. The Ignite comes in from Fly, and he should be able to end Pyrion's life. Down he goes. Does a little dance in the mid lane too. That's Fly for you. Says, you are not going to defeat me. Pyrion with a little mistake there trying to fight at that moment.
This is some really, really fiery stuff for a Korean match. We knew what to expect when we saw Aurelion Soul Xin Zhao and their ability to gank. So far, SKT were good in following, but this wasn't even the follow in mid lane. The mid lane is for once uninvolved. Tal goes in. Blank is lying in wait, and usually the jungler who's lying in wait will get the advantage, but it's level 4 till actually level 3 at the time from Blank. They combo in melee range, you can't juke the Xin Zhao.
I think he got a seismic shove earlier there. He saves it for the end, but the stone's already exploding. They don't know that Blank's there. You can get that perfect Talia combo that we've seen. Now, she doesn't have that many items, but a good amount of burst damage and Jace to burst down with you. And then already the fight begins 2v1. But unfortunately, not going to use that seismic shove. Doesn't win the trade as, I mean, Talia in the early game against these two champions, you're going to be clenching really hard, as you like to say, Papa.
Well, there's 2 control wars topside, so that's a bit of a win for SKT. They had the double spotting on the Aurelion Soul, who so far has exclusively roamed top. To be fair, his bot lane is Ezreal Tahm Kench, who only roams mid lane. Going to that lane is not always going to be very fruitful, so it makes sense that you want to control topside river as much as possible if you're SK Telecom T1. The game will slow down now, because it couldn't possibly get any more bloody.
Well, we'll see. We'll see the replay here as Pyrion just gets stunned,
He's level 4 when he begins this is Fly. That's probably the reason that Pyrion walks up, but then gets a little bit extra base damage. He gets the Ignite cooldown, and Pyrion says, damn, outplayed.
Yeah. There's a little emote there at the end, too. But, I mean, you got to respect that stun. Doesn't matter what level he is. Blank looking for a play up on the top side. He wants Cuvee to over-engage, but meanwhile, Haru's like, okay, I'll just steal your entire jungle then. They really need to get the kill here onto Cuvee to make this worthwhile.
Oh, puts out the Q, checking the brush, but also playing mind games with Cuvee. He's saying, I have incomplete information, I'm scared, when in reality he feels very strong with Blank right there.
He wants the hookshot out of Cuvee. Cuvee hookshots in onto Tal. It's a dead Camille, but Cuvee is going to hold on to it And meanwhile, Xinjiao gets blue, Gromp, Wolves. What else is he gonna
Juve is
get?
respecting this brush so hard
He
at
knows.
this point. His top laner senses, Spider-Man be damned. His senses are really impressive in top. Doesn't die through what should have been an easy gank, and Haru steals blue. He has flash up, he might need.
It's a lot of burst damage here. He gets the ultimate down, but the kill goes over to the side of Tal, who picks up the blue buff. Here comes the Camille. Tal has to flash away. Blank is there with full health, full mana, and a red buff. Cuvée could eat a really big combo here over the wall. He's gonna have some stones here too. The TP is coming in. In goes Cuvée. He can only go forward here. But the stopwatch is there, and Tal is going to dunk him in from the river. Nice couple of moments there from the side of SKT's top and jungle.
Even though Cuvée made the right moves, Haru first dies, and then Cuvée goes in the death chamber, and all they get for it is a stopwatch out of SKT. Gen.G played well about what they weren't sure about, but what they knew about. I think they mismanaged their resources. It's a 12-kill game, and double buffs are still being worn by Tal.
Yeah, the Jace pick. We talked about how it was banned 2 games in a row in phase 2 of the bans, and you're beginning to see what can happen. They know that Haru must be in here. They spot him. And the Xinjiao, not too tanky at this point.
Here's a control ward.
The arrow! That's going to be a dead fly.
Oh.
Easy as you'd like. The perfect snipe comes out of Bang in the bottom lane.
Well, that one was certainly without context, but nicely done by Bang.
We're going to end the replay short because we missed it.
We need no replays. Apparently the action is all we need. For once, less production value would be appreciated.
I mean, it was just a really good follow-up play. If you play enough Talia into this many solo queue picks, right, Xinjiao, Camille especially, you have flashy moments, right? The stopwatch is perfect out of Blank, and now he's looking for a dive, but Aurelion Sol coming on in. Blank knows he's spotted. He's going to clear the ward. They're not going to overcommit here, as they know that the rotation is coming in from the side of Gen.G.
They also should know the early game has gone way better than expected for SK Telecom T1 when Gen.G was strongest around level 3. With Xinjiao and Aurelion Sol able to chase down kills, they're actually ahead in gold, ahead in kills. It is a 7-6 game, and yes, the gold lead is very much not worth discussing. But even going even when your enemy champions are set up to dominate the first 10 minutes of the game is a really important point for SKT, because it gives them a footing that might have been denied if Gen.G had got a snowball 3 or 4 kill lead.
One thing we didn't mention too is that Pyrion, in order to set up that arrow play, he had to get fly low to begin with. So seems like he began to win the lane as well afterwards. Thinking about another dive on the top side here onto Cuvée, who did put down another ward. But Blank instead is just going to go up to the top brush and clear it out. Maybe then can go for it, but Cuvée with the spider senses once again is just gonna back.
I see when Bang used the arrows, actually even before the inhibitor, sets it down the middle and says if this one hits, it'll be good. That one hits in the biggest way possible, the 3.5 second stun, if you don't mind. Swifty Boots, no CC reduction on those. Goodbye goes the mid laner, and now maybe goodbye goes the top lane turret.
It's perfect too because the 2-kill streak was on to fly. He was 2-0-2, so the extra 150 gold goes to the side of Pyrion, finishes that Rod of Ages a bit quicker. He's going to be happy on that Swain in the mid lane. They get the first blood turret in the top side, and they're looking for the Rift Herald as Gen.G just looking for a mountain drink.
Gen.G trading down is a disaster for what they drafted, so that's why you see Aurelion Sol trying to at least draw multiple members and slow this down.
Once again, it's Pyrion versus Fly, but this time they have the support of everyone else. But Haru and CoreJJ come in, but Pyrion has a stopwatch and his ultimate. There it is, the double headbutt pulverize onto Haru and Fly, but a big voice of light there. But it's enough damage, and Pyrion double kills the side of Gen.G, just knocks them down like a couple of bowling pins, and the rest of Gen.G has to run away. SKT, they secure their win in the early game.
Here comes the ultimate.
Gonna be close, but just helps out with the leash. Blank this time gets the smite.
SKT are finding order in the chaos. Gen.G ordered an extra large amount of chaos in the early game, and SKT were ready for it ahead of the play. Talia spent the entire time in top side trying to minimize any of the disruption onto the top lane laning phase, and so far that has propelled SKT to a way better early game than can be possible. We had 15 kills in 13 minutes, but 9 of them to the side of SKT. We mentioned already that Gen G think, okay, we've got the tempo draft, we can't give up a free Rift Herald. It is a super decisive Abyssal Voyage by Core JJ into melee range of an ulting Swain. They come in, effort over the wall, helps them close down, and an instant double kill in the end with just the Death's Hand. Even gets a mana refresh on that one.
Yeah. Guarantees
the win for SKT.
I feel like also Gen G not really respecting the Taliyah at this point. I mean, they Abyssal Voyage underneath the Taliyah. Yeah. The Core JJ, the Tahm Kench just nearly dies before the fight even starts. He gets them into range, but you got to know who's got stopwatch and who doesn't. The Swain, who's already super far ahead. Just a team fight that they would love to redo for sure to the side of Gen G. They give away the Rift Herald. Another turret falls in the bottom side as SKT gonna take the lead here, 2,000 gold ahead at 14 minutes.
And these sort of games you see very often in the LPL, the very bloody early games. And the big talk about, among a lot of analysts, about why Kingzone underperformed MSI is they can't play high-tempo games. They can't reassess and actually get the game back into their control when it's gone into disarray in the early game. And honestly, that question mark could be said about Gen G, a team that really only plays sword and slow and steady. That's why we call them the shield and the sword and shield analogy. So I'm very interested to see how Gen G pull back, put down the control wards, take a deep breath, because they drafted for the early game. They've been outplayed in the early game by SKT, and where they can find their fundamentals from here will be very important for them in a future best of 5, however high on the table that they finish.
That's got to be rough. You know, they are behind. They have that early draft that you were talking about, but they still do have that immense amount of burst damage onto one squishy target. If they can find Bang or Blank, I'm going to hold that thought as we're diving the turret here onto Fly. Seismic Shove does push Haru away. Just discourages him from getting in there. Looking for the Shock Blast is not going to land. Just hits him minion there, but they zone Fly out, get him out of the lane, at least for now.
Going to the Aurelion Sol lane and trying to punish them in that lane. Aurelion Sol himself going to go bot side, although now coming mid. Here's the Weaver's Wall.
The arrow comes in and it finds who they would like, but maybe they would have liked Core JJ instead. Again, it's just a zone. They put the wall down. They also use the ultimate from the Ashe, and they get a third turret already at 15 minutes.
But now the Aurelion Sol Xin Zhao is going to be scouted so early when they try to make a play to other lanes, just from minion waves being pushed in and no big dragon in the mid lane. You know that Aurelion Sol is on the roam, and you can find a defensive position much earlier. So basically the entire game plan here for Gen G has fallen behind because they've been outplayed by SKT in the early game. Pyrion now has a lot of gold on this Swain. Found a lot of advantages through the mid lane, even after being solo killed by the Aurelion Sol earlier. The amount of jungle proximity is the number I want you to look at, not about the amount of successful ganking. He spent 4 minutes 22 in the first 15, and largely around top side. Blank never even went bot lane to stop the Aurelion Sol Xin Zhao from just snowballing the Jace into oblivion.
You could see the thickness of the blue, right? It was all in the river and in the top side. That's all he had to do. Win the 2v2 with the help of Tal. Pyrion also did his job to come back from behind after dying to the Aurelion Sol in a solo kill.
We see games with ambition where the jungle proximity of 15 minutes is a minute, maybe 35 seconds, and it's just, well, I went by and cleared your control ward, now I'm leaving. He didn't even really gank the lane. It's all about being in a certain amount of units, maybe basically 600 units away from an enemy champion. Instead, this was literally Blank saying, I will not have my Jace lose lane in a scenario that seemed pretty set up for him to lose lane. So credit to Blank and SKT. They now have a pretty damn strong Jace, and Jace is going Trinity Force, no less. I don't think we've had a Trinity Force Jace almost ever.
No, I can't remember the last time, that's for sure. I mean, you were talking about trying to get that Jace ahead, too. It's going to be harder to gank the Aurelion Sol if he has vision. Would have been nice, you know, if you land and never move from the Swain. It's just about the easiest kill you can get onto the squishy Aurelion Sol. But helping out in the 2v2 in the top lane and just putting the fear into Cuvée to never aggressively hookshot. Because if he does, and Blank's there, you're dead immediately.
Let's talk about how Camille beats Jace. It's all-ins with the Trinity Force procs that you get so reliably. The reason you go Triforce Jace is to try to fight Camille at her own game. If you go lethality, yes, you can poke, but then she all-ins you, Triforce procs, you die. I think he's actually trying to build for lane in a way we haven't really seen from Jace. It will certainly hurt the EQ poke under turrets who won't be getting lethality or as much AD. But in the 1v1 matchup, if we see outplays with Triforce Jace, that'd be a very interesting thing to learn about this Jace versus Camille matchup.
Oh, man.
All right.
Early smite there from Blank, unfortunately, and Ruler's going to pick up a second Mountain Drake to the side of Gen G. That definitely makes things interesting here at 18 minutes into the game. They don't have the best Baron team, it's all right, but double Mountain Drake makes any team really good at taking any objective.
They do have a good team for getting picks, both teams do, and if they get those picks, the fallback Baron might be fast enough to burn it down before a teleport is open or something like that. If you're talking about a scenario where this Swain waddles into the backline, yes, it's going to be a real bad time. And watch the replay. Ruler shoots out the ult, trying to be opportunistic. It was on a ward, and the smite is just off.
Yeah, Blank just panicked a little bit. I mean, the True Shot Barrage is not going to do that much damage this early on. Yes, he's level 11 now. Maybe he was even level 10 when that came out, but you just got to wait for it to hit. You got to trust in your teammates to stop the damage. But either way, really crisp timing there from Ruler to get that.
Aurelion Sol will back away, working on Merlinomicon. Seems to be the second item here for Fly. A lot of opportunities when you are on this Aurelion Sol. Ruler's hit his 2 items and a red buff, so feeling pretty good about his power level. More amount of transformation coming in before the 20-minute average that we see pretty often in the LCK. Haru's kind of the big loser of this game. Despite 3 kills, it's the slow Trinity Force from the Xin Zhao who has to build damage to be any degree of relevance. Haru's job is, if I ever find Taliyah, I want to be able to kill her, and if I get lucky and find Ashe and no one else around, maybe good things can happen. So you have to build damage. In order to do that, the damage is going to be delayed.
Yeah, they want to make it so if it's a 1v1 between the Taliyah and the Xin Zhao, or even the Taliyah and the Camille, if that ever does happen, should be a win for the side of Gen G. Unless you do get outplayed, but this is pro play, shouldn't really happen. Taliyah going to be much more valuable in the team fights, especially to follow up on any other type of CC. And it's a happy Taliyah when you have Swain, Ashe, and Alistar specifically to engage, because one headbutt pulverize onto a squishy target, that guy is dead if you're able to land the seismic shove. A 1-2 punch that SKT will be super strong for in the mid game here.
Ruler, speaking of super strong, is starting to flex his might. I imagine we'll probably go for Blade next, because it doesn't feel like a tier game when you have 15 kills at about 13 minutes into the game earlier. But the game could still stall out. There's so much on the line. If you're joining us late, it is Gen G in the battle for first and SKT in the battle for top 5 and thus Worlds qualification as well. So right now the game, after all the bloodiness of when there was 3 turrets up for Gen G, they have no turrets still on the map. And SKT just trying to square them up and stop the Aurelion Sol roams from meaning anything.
Look at Bang just alpha move, standing his ground, saying, hey, you want to try to trade with me? I have red buff now. I have Blade of the Rune King. Forces the Devour out of Core JJ already, and here we go. The arrow's going to come in here. If he gets the help of Pulverize, could be really good, but the Devour's there. Off cooldown once again. Bit of an idealistic engage there. Bit optimistic, you could say. It's not going to result in a kill.
Well, there is Trinity Force now on Jace and Camille. There's a gold lead onto the Jace, so my first thought is that he will be winning trades. You're never quite sure when it's different build paths, and you know, there's a lot of burst damage onto the Camille with her Precision Protocol and those Trinity Force procs, so I'm definitely not going to be calling that one way or the other.
You talked about how this mid game should calm down a little bit. We certainly have done exactly that, as it's just been Tal pushing in the bottom side, Kive catching the waves. Tal looking for a blue buff here. We also have Parian with his own TP up in the top side, pushing against Fly, who can roam on the Aurelion Sol. The 280 carries farming in the mid lane. And, well, if SKT had the 2 Mountain Drakes, that Baron could probably fall in about 15, 20 seconds as they get more items. But unfortunately, they're not the ones with the double Mountain Drake.
But for now, they do control the map. Spotted is the Taliyah on this roam. Cuvée already had some good moments in terms of top laner sense. It does pull away. See what Gen G's next move is, because again, we talked about what do you do if you're corralled with an early aggression comp. Some teams would just try to keep being aggressive and just die as a result. But so far, Gen G trying to hit the side lanes, trying to pull SKT away from true 5v5s and not be able to fall further behind. The gold lead, it's about 3,000, which is relevant at 23 minutes, but not going to be game-winning. The Triforce Jace is something we're still learning about when it comes to what he will really be able to provide. A bit of burst in team fights and some decent burst damage on structures, but that's an area where the Jace was already strong. Can he take the Camille on the side lane as this game goes on? That's what I'm most interested to know.
Bang with a zoning ultimate says, this is my control ward. With how slow the game is, I suppose it's not awful. Not as awful as it looks because, hey, I mean, you're fighting for vision here around the Baron, and it is going to be SKT's vision after that play. Trying to, throw him the bones here a little bit.
Well, the bones together are a line of control wards for SKT, but in an area they can't really make use of. They're not going to start the Baron. They can't open up something like that Gen G might be able to turn around the game on. The map control isn't really leading to anything. They're not even playing on the side with the Drake, which has spawned. Maybe some bad feels and bad vibes after the last one was stolen away. Looking at the gold lead, look at how many kills littered the first 6 minutes, but the kills fell away around the 13-minute mark, and that's why the game has stayed around the same spot. That means Gen G hasn't started losing, and maybe they'll be able to rock up with a 3-item Ezreal when the first true 5v5 starts, but definitely not what Gen G drafted for, and you still have confidence that SKT can take the 5v5 fights.
5v5 is going to be a little bit awkward, as you're mentioning, right? They do need to get a pick onto a squishy target really fast because they have a nice amount of peel, actually. You're going to have to move through the Swain and get through an Alistar.
Core JJ knows he can't check that brush, so he's pulling back. They find Bang. They still don't know it's Haru.
Oh boy, Haru going to get totally caught out here. Does have the stopwatch. The arrow is going to hit Core JJ. Kind of a odd angle on that one, perhaps trying to predict the flash, but at least they do get the stopwatch away from Haru.
Haru refuses to use ult. Most people will come out of stasis and just use the ultimate. He really wants to use it in a team fight to both separate and buy himself some more effective tankiness when it matters. That means he's half health. He can't leave. They're very afraid of the Baron being started. And for Gen G at the moment, they don't have a check as they're going in on Bang.
Bang's all alone here. He's going to have to burn only his heal. And SKT decide, hey, we can try to sneak the Baron at this awkward timing. Gen G just committing to that one. Talia's very fast, but they do check with the Vision of Empire on top of that control ward, and they will back off. So in the end, just the Abyssal Voyage and the trade for the heal.
Nice play by Gen G. Watching Cuvée in the side lane. They force Bang backwards, and then they know when they face check, the Bang can't be there. He's the brunt of their damage. This is the time to face check and check the Barons. That's the ordered play you need. You have this goal of, well, I really need to know what's happening inside the Baron. Getting to that without just dying straight up on a face check is difficult. So first stopping Bang and then going to the Baron was a nice play by Gen G.
They have Vision of Ash here. Bang really wants to back. We'll see what he decides to go for. As now they're looking for Core JJ. Decide against it as the Vision, they do see Haru just over the wall. Oh boy, well, this game has slowed down, but there have been a lot of different moments where it looks like, especially Gen G, trying to be proactive and find those picks I was talking about.
I'm already rocking back and forth, and that usually is a good sign that I'm generally excited. No Parkinson's for me just yet.
Okay.
I'll touch
Are you sure?
I hope so. I'm just really excited because this game is close. I think SKT have won the early game. It was stacked against them, and even though Gen G had some aces up their sleeves, SKT outplayed them around the top side. But to what end? We haven't really been able to tell at 27 minutes any better than we could tell at 12 minutes because the game state hasn't changed. And on the one hand, that does to some degree benefit SKT, but on the other hand, a pick, a kill, a Baron, the game might just be won by Gen G. So the game is ripe for a match winner. Will the match winner be on the side of Gen G and propel them to that first place battle? Or will it be on SKT as they still harbor those hopes of making it to playoffs even against a stacked schedule?
Definitely feeling the SKT hype. I think Tal has done a much better game in a much better job here in game number 3 compared to his other games. The AP Kennen, it was okay. He had that rough moment with a couple of his engages, but then finally got the last play. The Quinn was, a little bit iffy. We're still not 100% sure about the effectiveness of the Quinn, but he gets his Jace. He looks a lot more comfortable. He had so much help in the top side from Blank. And now I think he should be able to go 1v1 at least up against Cuvée. And you mentioned it before. I mean, taking Cuvée out of any fight, regardless of champion, is going to be good for the side of SKT.
Agreed. And I agree with your SKT optimism. And they've gotten deep vision down, which is very difficult to do against a comp like Gen G has. That is what I'd be saying in a different game. They should be focusing on 28 minutes. But the fact that they've got no Drakes as a backup win condition after the snipe does count against them a little bit. So they haven't been able to move forward there. Objectively, it's only been vision control. They haven't actually turned into objectives, and that is the small criticism for SKT outside of an otherwise great early game. Here we go.
Oh boy, Voicelite comes in, and Perian has to, Zhonya's very, very late, trying to come in here and get that blast damage, and there it is! The outplay from Perian says, I deserve to be here, gets the 1v1 kill, but now Bang all alone is gonna miss the arrow, but nice follow-up there from Effort to save his life. And there you have it, Perian gonna shut down Fly in the 1v1.
That damage calculation was probably really, really close, Valdez. Finally killing someone as the Aurelion Soul difficult because of the ability to juke forward and back to try to dodge those stars, but bit of a star-making moment there for Perian. Does it mean Baron? The answer is still no. We get the replay here. Fly opens up a big effective health lead by hitting everything at the start, but actually closing the kill after the stasis, it proved impossible. It's about 500 health on Perian. Let's watch the burst here. Never move Q ult is the better part of 1,300 damage. Nicely done by Perian.
I mean, he knows also the cooldowns of the Aurelion Soul, knows that the ultimate is blown. He can juke inside the stars. No stun comes out. He sees the never move on point, and the second that it goes in the right direction and he knows that Fly is going to be caught, he knows he has the kill. It's that one moment as a top-level mid laner. As speaking of which, Blank, I mentioned it before, you are going to get crushed if you try to 1v1 the Camille as Taliyah as the game goes on, and well, he has enough items to just make the Taliyah look silly.
You know the items are strong when you got maybe a hook shot. You didn't get a flash or an ultimate from Cuvée. He didn't need either of those. That was a little bit embarrassing, and that does set them back as looking for a turret dive. The Zhonya's is just now back up, but Perian smartly walks away.
Yeah, decides, hey, I'm not going to try to 2v1. I was able to 1v1.
How does this one go?
He's really trying to carry his team. He's going to get pretty low. Does he have the Q there? Does dodge that with his ultimate. Gets the GA, but the TP is going to zone him away, and Cuvée will win another trade. This has been a game full of star-making moments,
Didn't have Ravenous Hydra, but had enough sustain to get through the star and outplayed the damage that would have killed him with the ultimate. When you use your ultimate timing is the true skill cap there for Cuvée. Very nicely done. One trademark champion banned away, the other one available. If it's not his Gnar, his Camille has been his famous pick.
This has made this game extremely close as Perian showing off a little bit, Cuvée also doing the same, and still no extra objectives. SKT, they killed the Ocean Drake because they wanted another elemental to spawn before the Elder. They get a Mountain Drake. Now, it's a little bit risky. If Gen G do get another pick, then they're going to have 3 Mountain Drakes, and then you're kind of left scratching your head. If you lose map vision, map control, Gen G can just sneak objectives from underneath your nose.
Oh, deep breaths. Infinity Edge there, now for the Ashe. Bang, they definitely know is over the wall, and they will, of course, confirm that. Bang has a very high damage build, a sort of build you need against tanks, but isn't really facing tanks. So we'll do some good burst damage, but is squishy as a result of that. As you can see, Blade, Hurricane into IE here for the Ashe. Ezreal's Ezreal. We'll see where the BF sword is going. Probably Guardian Angel so that he can be a bit more aggressive in his positioning, but could also be a Bloodthirster. Wait and see what Ruler decides. Bang has been on a lane ward for the better part of the last 15 minutes.
I mean, you could see what they were trying to do with the Abyssal Voyages too, or just to make sure they know where he's moving afterwards. Really good ward, and Effort is going to clear it out.
Big match winner when it was The most famous meeting of these two teams, the grand final last year, was of course Ruler catching Karma, which was paid by Faker at the time. Getting the replay in the bot lane for QV versus Tal. Remember, Guardian Angel lead here for Tal, gold lead for Tal. Picture in picture, it seems like just wave clear is happening. Watch when he holds the ult. Into the skies. Also, no time to use the hammer hit. Very well played by QV. Tal was set up to win the 1v1. He did not.
Also got to mention when he starts the fight right after the upgraded Shock Blast comes through and it misses. He's like, okay, the Jace is going to be down on his damage for just a while. Playing around cooldowns, he gets the perfect hook shot in for the stun. And definitely works out for him in the trade.
QV turns his items into Sterix and Ravenous Hydra, so he suddenly has a lot of power behind him that wasn't there the last time they were fighting. Again, very hard to judge this matchup, Trinity Force Jace. First time I'm casting this in a long time. May have been bought for like a boot sale for a 6th item Trinity Force, but otherwise a 2nd or 3rd item Trinity Force, I don't recall.
It's been a while. We'll see what he can do in the trades in the future up against QV. Had to call in a teleport the last time around from Pyrian. Is going to be available now, just now. But he's got to be careful about taking the trades, especially with all those upgrades. Mention how Blank is really looking for someone else to engage first and then get the combo kill. We'll see if they can get on top of Core JJ, who does not have a QSS built in, as he did pick up the cleanse.
Yep, switched over to the cleanse. A lot of posturing now. Game slowing down. Bit of piggyback here.
Okay, well, the TP is available here from Pyrian. Immediately comes in, but Tal, no GA this time around. Trying to flash in, but they don't have the damage. Finally, the star hits him, but QV is going to go down in the end as Blank, with a really nice roam with the Weaver's Wall, gets there in time. The 1v1 trade comes in again, this time in the trade for the TP of Pyrian.
Gen G had the faster collapse, but don't get a kill lead from this. Mountain Drake has spawned. They're not willing to fully commit to it just yet. They know they'll lose at least positioning on mid lane and the Baron. They can kill it fast enough. Haru will just solo it down.
Oh boy.
1 for 1, teleports back up. Doesn't change the game.
Yeah. They have 3 mountains. With the 2 mountains, they were going to burst anything down anyway, so now it's just going to make that a little bit faster. But again, they have to get a pick before they do start to get into that Baron, and once again, the game will stall.
If I'm Gen G, I want to engineer a fight where the Swain isn't, because Swain right now will quarterback the fight super hard. Feels like Swain is Orianna in my head in terms of how much he'll be able to contribute a group's fight. The rest of the members on SKT are very squishy and die very fast. They get the teleport out of Pyrian, who does clean up the kill here onto QV. So the 1-for-1 part is not ideal, but with their other ability to hit the side lane super fast with Abyssal Voyage and also the Aurelion Soul leaping up into the air, wherever they find members that aren't Pyrian, I think Gen G are generally happy.
You mentioned that. Currently, Ruler does have the most damage in the game. There's that burst damage I was talking about from the Taliyah. Is always going to be relevant if you can find someone. Not going to be able to get his GA, as Gen G, they fall back onto their Tahm Kench Ezreal. It's been, you can see why it's really good. Another fight down on the bottom side.
GA back up. Double GA already complete for the side of SKT. Actually, Haru halted his own Trinity Force. QV's really feeling this.
It's pretty crazy damage. We'll see if they get the arrow here, as QV doesn't have his own GA. They want to bait him in. It's not going to hit, as QV is fast enough to dodge that one, and the GA will be procced again.
But Ashe wastes so much time, and they don't actually get anything topside to Gen G. Only some control wards are going to be taken out. This does end up being as high value a play. Pyrian, yeah, use that Devour early against the Swain. Definitely something that Fly would have told them about.
It's 4 items now. He has his death cap. He's going to be just 100 to 0ing anyone who is unfortunate enough to get close to him. And as I mentioned before, any CC that comes in, Blank will be there for the follow-up on the Taliyah. Effort just waiting in the wings. They would love to get vision onto him, but now they're looking for the engage. Gonna miss on a Core JJ, but he will flash anyway, as he knows the ability for the Alistar to follow up with his own flash. They're just gonna start the Baron. Looks like they really want to bait Gen G into a fight here. Just posturing for now. SKT will be able to move back off of this one. They get the teleport out of Cuvée, and they decide we will not take the 5v5.
Hold it till 9,000, get the teleport, job done. Now the Jace can split push without the Camille in his face. However, Gen G pushed through mid. Mid lane outer going down at 38 minutes. It is only the second turret for Gen G this game.
Yeah, that's kind of the sad story there for Gen G. They don't really have a lot of turrets down, but it is 3-2, so it's not. It's just a game that hasn't had a lot of turrets go down in general.
And people will look at this and say SKT macro lull, but remember, we just saw Cuvée, even before the GA is finished, winning trades really hard against Jace. The only way to get Jace breathing room is to actually take away Camille's teleport, because then Camille can't focus on lane against the Jace. If this means that SKT find a Baron where Jace is there and Camille is not, then it is worth it. If they can't in the duration of the teleport, then it wasn't. So we'll only know if it was the smartest move until after the fact.
Well, they have a lot of time to make it work. Bang is just frontlining right now. Look at him go. Core JJ nearly goes down. As Blank, keep in mind, he doesn't have a Tahm Kench on his side. He's the one actually attacking the Tahm Kench, saying, I will defeat you. Knows he has the backup of his squad right behind him to go for the engage.
Let's talk about the nose. Good control wards. They know there's no top laner who can go bot lane. They start the Baron. This is the perfect time. Tahm Kench is already out of the fight.
Really interesting. Weaver's Wall is not going to do much. They get the engage there on to Fly. He gets really low, but they're looking for the Tahm Kench and they get him in the back line. The burst damage from Perion is there, but Bang is going to get super low, but they cannot finish him off. The double GA is going to be popped, and it looks like SKT has won a big team fight here. A double kill for Tall now, and they're looking for the ace as only Ruler survives.
They're going to try and win the game. They've got Jace, remember. This should be easy. Just keep Ruler out of it. Effort. Not going to be able to interrupt him.
Trying to TP out of here. They're not going to be able to get him down. As they're pushing in, keep in mind, 40 minutes, guys. SKT, they want to win the game.
They should win. Tal does a lot of turret damage as well. There's so much time, 30 seconds on these members. I think SKT's done it.
They have a really big wave coming in here as well. You can see Ruler, he's desperately trying to stop this push as it's looking like SKT is going to be able to do it. The Korean crowd just figuring it out as the Nexus is going to be bursted down. This time it's not going to be contested, and SKT with a huge 2-1 victory over Gen Z tonight.
The roar in the Nexon Arena is massive. We have to be loud. Look how relieved the players are. They know they must win every match they play to have a hope of making it to the playoffs. They still have so many difficult opponents to face, but they will not be counted out today. SK Telecom T1 avenged that Worlds loss last year. It's not for the same stakes, but it's still in service of making it to Worlds 2018 and trying to find a way to make those playoffs.
And look at where the respect is given to the double thumbs up. Somebody gift that, please, as it was going to the bottom side. You know, I'm not sure if it was Perion, maybe it was just Bang on the Ash, as look at the size of his cojones as he walks forward into 5. Zones Core JJ out, gets him super low. They start the Baron, they force him back in, and they make that Tahm Kench just not a factor in the fight, and that is one big reason why they won that one.
SKT fought so hard to stop this game being about Camille side laning against Jace. Jace went Trinity Force to delay when Camille won the trades. By the time it was online, they get a teleport, they turn off Baron, and the second Baron set up, they are set up to win. Core JJ out of the fight, super low. It doesn't even matter that the Weaver's Wall is not ideal. Gen G have to commit to a fight that SKT is set up to do really well in. They get the early kills, they get maximum value out of Perion's zone control, and they do win against Gen G.
That's the Swain for you guys. Perion popped off in a big way. He was 6-1-1 before that fight even started. Core JJ, he's defeated. He knows losing to SKT means that they're certainly not going to get first place, but it also means that with how competitive the top of the season here in LCK is, they might even fall to third.
Well, Gen G is going to become big fans of SKT in a couple of matches because SKT have to play Griffin. And Gen G, if they want to finish first, they need an assist. They also need SKT to continue the miracle run and take down Griffin. Otherwise, it's looking very likely that Griffin will be waiting in the grand final.
It's also a huge game for the side of SKT. We mentioned how, you know, really big win for them. It also means that we're probably going to continue seeing Perion. He's been popping off so much. Unfortunate for Faker fans, but whatever's working for SKT, they're going to continue going with that.
What was working for SKT in this game feels like a long time ago, but it was the early game repelling of the Xinjiao, of the Aurelion Sol, of the Camille, and the potential for the game to snowball super hard. It was little moments like this, the Ash Arrow into mid lane, the picks they got, they were heading kills when Gen G was supposed to be strongest, and now we see the SKT players and the coaches leave the booths, their heads are held high, they're looking at the screens, looking at the highlights of some of the big moments.
Perion on the Swain. We've seen a lot of bottom lane Swain not really work out, but his mid lane Swain, man, he was controlling the fight. The double kill here. He knows the damage calculations. His Swain is unbelievable. I mean, we're going to get to the point where this might be ban territory against Perion now. This is the big 1v1 where Fly destroys him early on in the 1v1. But look at this. The second he flashes away, the second the never move is going to hit, he knows he wins the fight. As the damage comes out there, he's able to burst down the Aurelion Sol. And once again, all alone versus 5, he zones them all out, is able to get the pull onto Fly and just get into the back line, do that huge burst damage on the Demon Flare to knock everyone down to low health.
Perion may not be a god of the mid lane, but in the spot he's found himself in, he has been eminently reliable and in some semblance of the word, a match winner. There's been times where he has made the big outplays, so for a guy who's in this kind of can't win scenario of people being unhappy when SKT win because they don't get to see Faker, all he can do is soak in the fact that in this current run, SKT are 4-0, and now throw out the strength of schedule. They've taken down one of the joint first place teams in Gen G over a really tried and tested 3 games.
You can tell just how happy they are, too. After winning that one, they're all going nuts in the booth. Effort grabbing his head, just such relief. They know they have to win to make it into playoffs. They don't want to disappoint their fans. They really want to make it into Worlds again. They don't want to disappoint. They want to make it through. So, I mean, we might just have Perion pick up a second MVP because he picked it up in Game 1. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him pick it up again. He had a really fantastic rise in Game 1. His Swain this time around was really good.
I think Blank was very good in the early game. We one very obvious mistake against the Camille, but otherwise was good. Bang had some nice moments at the end, but I think, yeah, I have to be with you. I would also say Perion for this game number 3. We're going to get that award right now, though.
Let's see who it is going to be, the MVP here. It is going to be Perion once again. So we will just be hearing from only Perion here. The Swain, 7-1-4, is able to carry his team again. And I'm going to hand it over to Jisun now to help out with the translation. Let's hear what Perion has to say.
Thank you very much. This is Jisun with their interview translation. And today we're going to have an interview with Perion, the solo MVP from SK Telecom T1. They picked up 2-1 victory against Gen G Esports. Congratulations on the win. How do you feel? Gen G is a strong team in the LCK, and Flau, he is a very strong mid laner, but I'm really happy that I performed really well in the games. They are obviously a strong team since they're placed in second spot. So everyone had a lot of doubts about winning today's series, but you guys made it out. Well, I really get nervous before games, especially the day before. But yesterday, I felt like, yeah, they're obviously so strong, so I could get rid of my pressure. I think that was the key for showing such a great performance today. So I think you kind of dominated throughout the game, and you started you began as a starting member for SKT from now on. So does that kind of add you a little bit more of a pressure at first time? I was like trying to, let's just do my best for the one set or just one game, but kind of stacking up the victories since I've been starting as a start member of SK Telecom, it kind of gives you more confidence, but also pressure at the same time.
앞에 보이니까 그런 것 같은데 이제 세트 얘기를 좀 해봐야 될 것 같아요.
So moving on to games,
you
you locked in Rise in mid lane. And you know, a lot of people worried about Rise facing Zoe in mid lane, especially Fly. He's so good at it. Weren't you kind of worried?
제가 제일 자신 있는 챔프인 오리아나랑 그 르블랑이
Well,
벤이 돼가지고
Orianna and LeBlanc is my main champion, so I didn't really have a lot of champions left to block in. And also, if you just extend to the late game with Rise, it's a really good champion, so I kind of felt a little bit confident.
실제로 뭐 초반만 버티면 좋다고 말씀을 해주셨는데
As you mentioned,
부터 라인전 이기면서 먼저 움직이는 모습
if you make safe plays in early games, I heard you said Rise will be a good champion, and you kind of showed great performance on Rise throughout the whole game with Rise. And the highlight was that go trying the Baron with your ultimate.
그 장면이 자세히는 기억이 안 나는데 아마
Well, I don't really remember it appropriate. I don't really remember it, but I think we all saw the opponent player going to the base. So yeah, we just like, let's give it a try with my ultimate.
바론까지 가져갔다는 이런 말씀을 전해 들었고요. 그리고 이후에 탑에 이제 자신은 탑이 아니죠. 바텀 쪽에서
Then,
자신을 노리러
well, there were 4 of Genji players attempting to take you down.
하고 있었잖아요. 131 운영으로 그때 4명이 오는 걸
But you
바라보면서
kind
어떤
of
생각을 하셨나요?
managed to escape or take down Zoe with you.
앞모빙을 치길래 적팀이 온 걸 대충 예상했었고
I said Zoe is playing a little bit aggressively, so I knew that he had
제가
backups.
충분히 잡을 수 있다고
But I knew he didn't have skills, so I knew that I was strong enough to take her down.
풀 콤보를 넣어서 최대한 딜을 뽑아내는 이런 장면도 또
Yeah, at that moment you just solo killed Zoe.
이제
So let's check out the clips.
볼게요. 이게 정말 엄청난 명장면인 것 같은데 이걸 보면서 라이즈 진짜 우주 최강 딜이다.
So you
뭐 이런
just
얘기도
bursted
나왔거든요.
Zoe
라이즈
down at that moment.
저 콤보에 대해서 한 번만 설명해 주실 수
So can you tell us about the combo from Rise at that moment?
콤보요?
네.
Skill combo.
일단 Q를 조이한테 맞추고
I landed my Q first.
Q를 쓰고 앞으로 왔을 때
And Zoe used it all in front of me, so I used W and EQ.
딜을 뽑아낼 수 있는 그런 강점이 있는 거잖아요.
그쵸.
맞추기가 어려워요, 대신.
아니 이게 정석인데
Well, that is a standard combo, but it's really hard to learn all the skills, right?
그거 못 맞춰서거든요. 그래서 오늘 진짜 필요한 선수가 정말 날카로운 이런 실력을
That kind of proves that you were performing so well today.
뭐 계속해서 멋진 장면 보여주셨습니다만 2세트 약간
So moving on to game 2. It was really sad to lose out game 2, so what kind of feedbacks went back and forth?
일단 저희가 2세트에 진 게
Well, the reason for losing out second set is similar to the reason that we won third game.
되게 유리했었는데
Well, we were obviously in the lead, but our macro was not that clean.
멘탈이 나가긴 했던
So I think we had a little bit of meltdown, but we were trying to kind of get back to the game for game 3.
굉장히 저 상대편에서 약간 초반부터 누르는 픽밴을 좀 선택을 하셨단 말이에요.
So game 3, I think Genji tried a little bit more aggressive team comp. So what kind of shot calls went back and forth?
상대가 좀 잘하는 챔피언인 조이랑
그렇죠.
또
We just tried to ban out
일단 자르고
Zoe and other champs that they were good at.
신짜오 나오면서 갑자기 이제
And you know, Genji locked in Xin
이거였잖아요.
그리고 저는
It seems like they were trying to focus on early games.
좀 주요했다고 생각을 해요.
And also Aurelion Soul in mid lane.
그렇죠, 그렇죠.
I think they were all trying to get down Jace on top lane.
이 솔의 움직임을 좀
But you know, you made a lot of cover plays with Swain.
어떤 생각을 가지고 그런 플레이를 해주신 건지 설명 한번 부탁드립니다.
So what kind of thought did you have in mind going into the games with Swain? And Aurelion Soul is a really good champ for roaming, but I am really confident about roaming around as a mid laner, so I was trying my best to follow Aurelion Soul.
그 3세트에서도 젠지 쪽에서 유리함을 가져간 그런 상황이 있었어요. 탑 쪽에서.
So in the early games, I think Genji was a little bit in a lead,
오히려 블랭크와
but Blank and Tall kind of made the backup play really well. So what kind of shot call went back and forth at the moment? Well, at that moment, we were just trying to take down one.
보시면 조금 기억이 날 수도 있어요.
Then let's go through the clip.
이때가 그 신짜오가 안 보인다고.
Well, our teammates told me that Xin is out of vision, so we said he might be in our jungle. So yeah, we all three said let's go and find out Xin and take him down.
폴도 움직임 자체가 탑 정글 선수들이 좋은 모습을 보여주면서 경기도 살짝 이
I think you guys showed a very stylish play today.
그런 모습이 있었는데
And here's Blank.
보셨으니까 안 보실 수가 없을 것 같아요. 아마
You know, you had a really good synergy with Blank today
느낌으로 함께
as a mid and jungler. So let's bring him up to the stage.
네, 안녕하세요. 안녕하세요.
Hello.
해주시겠어요? 네. 아유 반갑습니다. 축하드려요.
Congratulations.
네, 요즘 되게 그거 느끼는데 저는 블랭크 선수
I can feel that
정말 좋아져서
you are feeling so comfortable nowadays. How do you feel?
저희가 일단 연승가도를 달리고 있어서
We're on a winning streak, so I'm super happy.
패배했으면 조금
Well, if we lose out today, it would be a huge problem for us, but all of our teammates did so well. So I'm really happy that we got this such a wonderful result.
듀오라고 해야 될까요? 이 두 선수가 움직임이
So Pyrian and Blank,
하지만 서로를
as a
도와주는
duo,
느낌이 좀 많이 드는 것
you guys are
같은데
backing up so well and really have a good
어떠세요?
synergy.
일단 네.
Um,
저희가 좋아서
네.
yeah, I think our performance is quite well nowadays, and we have a lot of communications. So yeah, I think it's
잘
good.
맞는 것 같아요, 그렇죠? 네.
그렇죠. 그리고 이제 뭐 블랭크 선수가 나왔으니까 또 재밌는 질문 하나.
So we have a question for you, Blank.
탑 서포터처럼 제이스 뒤만
You are
이렇게
supporting
따라가는
tall
모습을
Jace
보였어요.
so well throughout the whole
그만큼
game
제이스가
3.
유리했다고 판단을 하신 것
So
같은데
was Jace the key
어떤
champion
승부와의
for game
플레이가
3?
이루어졌는지 듣고 싶네요.
일단 저희 조합도 조합이고 좀
Well,
갱이 좀 쉬울 것 같아서
well,
그랬던
Jace was
것
really
같고,
easy to be taken down by
제
ganks. So
그냥 제
yeah, I
생각대로
just did my
한 것 같아요,
best
그냥 제
to cover him based on my own decision.
각도의 판단 덕분에 또 승리를 가져간 SKT고요.
요즘에
네.
그런 얘기 하더라고요. 선구의 선구안. 왜 이러면서
A lot of people are saying that you are doing so well. You can read the whole game a little bit more earlier than the opponent jungler. And you know, Pyrian, you said that a lot of SKT older members are helping you out.
일단 팀원들이 제가 모르는 부분이나
Well, they teach me a lot,
많이 해가지고
and we have really a lot of communication, so we always share information together. So I think that kind of ends up with really good results. And I heard that Faker gives you a lot of advices, and also Bang holds your hand before games.
제 기억이 나는데 그때 제가
Where I remember that moment, but I was really nervous and shaky,
손을 잡으라고 말했어요.
so he told me to hold my hand.
확실히 네, 선배답게.
그렇습니다.
뱅 선수 하니까 또 생각이 나는 게
Speaking
이름이
of
같잖아요.
Bang, you
그래서
guys have a
선수
same
어떻게
Korean name, right?
부르나요? 저도 선수 시절에 이름이 같은 선수가 있어가지고 민철이라고 하면 가끔 막
So how do the coaching staff call you back in the gaming house?
어떻게 되나요? T1 내에서는?
일단 대부분 코치님이
But mostly the coaching staff, they call us
그냥 준식아
just Junsik. They just go Junsik.
그럼 처음에는 누구 부르는지 몰라.
So we just can't tell which Junsik they are calling. So both of us just turn around to answer. So next time the coaching staff calls her with the last name also.
그냥 어떻게 부르나요?
Then what about the players?
선수들끼리는 보통 그런
Well,
상황이 잘 안
that kind of moment doesn't really happen between the players, you know.
저보다 나이가 많고
Bang is older than me, and no one is older than me in SK Telecom. So
그래서 보통 형이나 뭐 그냥 반말로 이렇게 이루어지면서 헷갈릴 일이 적다.
보통 내 코치님이
yeah, usually when the coaching staff calls us Junsik, those kind of situation happens.
그쵸 나이를
네.
그쵸 제가 잘못 알고 있었어요.
그래요?
그죠 형이라고 아까 실수를
네?
했네요. 네, 형들을 막 이렇게 어떻게 부르냐 이러면서.
형 있죠? 98년생이에요.
Well, yeah, Bang is older than me.
제가 너무 헷갈려서 네 그렇습니다. 자 이제 블랭크 선수와도 이제 도움을 좀 서로 많이
So-
이야기를 좀 많이 할 것 같은데.
So you guys
블랭크
said
선수
that you have a lot of
뭐가 좀
communication
얘기해
between
주시면
blanks. So can you tell us about what kind of communication you guys share?
그 보통 운영하는 단계
Usually, when we're trying macros and rotations, he has a lot of knowledge about it. So he makes a lot of calls,
팀원들에게 잘 알려주는 것 같아요. 운영에 관해서.
not only to me, but just for the all 5 players. When we're trying macros, I think Blank gives a lot of calls.
엄청난 활동량을 또 자랑하시는 것 같습니다. 뱅 선수가 그 얘기를 했다고 하더라고요.
And I heard that there is a possibility going out to the playoffs.
듣고 싶습니다. 이제 남은 산들이 조금 더 남아 있는데요.
Well, and your upcoming schedule is kind of tough. So is there any last message regarding to your
솔직히
schedule
오늘
left.
젠지전만 해도 되게 힘들었는데
네.
Well, today's match was a really tough one for us.
경기력으로 보나 승리로 보나
But thinking of our own performance today, I think we can win our upcoming matches.
경기 다 이기도록
So we're gonna do our best to win our remaining matchups. Thank you.
자, 우리 블랭크 선수도 네.
And Blank, you wanna add on to that?
이번 경기에서 나온 문제점들을 이제
So we're gonna
하고
make sure to fix all the mistakes we made
문제점들을 잘 알고 이제
in the
보완을 해서
today's series, and so we're gonna build up upon our mistakes, and we're gonna come back with better performance next time.
기대해 보도록 하겠습니다. 다시 한번 축하드립니다.
So this will be the end of the interview with Pyrian and Blank from SK Telecom T1. And I'm gonna pass it back to our casters. Thank you.
걸음을 뗀 것 같습니다. 앞으로도 SK텔레콤 T1의 멋진 경기력 많이 응원해 주시기를 부탁드리겠습니다. 다시 한번 이 두 선수에게 큰 박수 부탁드리겠습니다.
Well, it was good to hear from Pyrian finally getting some of the spotlight here after replacing Faker. And honestly, after today, I'm not sure when the next time we'll see Faker because, 5 wins in a row, essentially. 5-1 now in round number 2. And these guys are on fire. They went against a good team. You can't really argue against these results.
And you can't really afford to change anything when it comes to the future matches because they are all must win. How depressing for SK Telecom that even a match win only keeps them in the hunt for top 5. It doesn't get them any closer. They are still going to be in 7th spot. Strength of schedule, a big issue for them. They have many tricky teams to face. We'll talk about that schedule later in the day because our schedule still continues for today. KT Rolster versus BBQ. KT coming off a loss, and also it's KT versus a bottom team, and that is a trap game if there ever was one, Valdez.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, right? BBQ slowly looking better, right? They're not just getting dumped on by everyone, whereas KT, maybe we're on the bottom side of the roller coaster, and all of a sudden, one win goes to the side of BBQ, and hey, you never know in a best of 3. So KT, we mentioned how competitive it is up at the top. They really need to win this one against BBQ, and no one wants to see that upset come in. More than the BBQ fans.
At the end of the day, KT are in the spot where the team above them lost. Gen G is in 2nd right now. KT want to jump as high as possible, skipping best of 5s. The reason why these last weeks are going to be exciting, which is mostly going to be playoff team versus non-playoff team, is that if you finish 2nd, you skip a best of 5. If you finish 3rd, you skip a best of 5. 4th only gives you side selection in the wild card, but 1st through 3rd is skipping matches, either best of 3s or best of 5s. So KT can only say, well, I know it was Gen G versus SKT, but Gen G lost. Let's pick up a match victory. Let's get as high as possible because, man, up the top, it's so competitive.
It's competitive, right? If Gen G come in and lose another one, KT win today and they continue with their consistency, maybe we see them in 2nd place.
Maybe KT got lucky that they played SKT a few weeks ago and not right now.
Exactly. Or maybe Griffin also kind of bite the bullet against some of these worse teams and don't really show up, right? So Griffin going to be playing up against SKT a little bit later on in the week, I think.
That could have been really not hype if SKT was already eliminated. Suddenly, it's Griffin standing in the way of SKT, potentially making this huge march to playoffs. There's so many fans desperate to see that. So many fans on the other side desperate to see Griffin finish 1st overall in the regular season as his anime rising story. The stories are big, the gameplay is fiery, it's a lot of fun.
That's going to be good. Guys, we're going to be back in 20 minutes before we do get into KT versus BBQ. We're going to grab some food. We'll be right back.